when he asked, "Can I play for a plate of food?" They laughed, not realizing his amazing talent. The words echoed in Alex's mind as he stood under the dim lights of the local diner, his heart thumping like a drum. With a guitar slung over his shoulder, he carved through the laughter and chatter that seemed to drown out every ounce of hope he had. This was his moment, his chance to be heard, to feel alive among the colorful tapestry of townsfolk who filled the room like a patchwork quilt of stories and dreams. He squared his shoulders, took a deep breath, and spoke up. "Can I play for a plate of food?" His voice wavered, trembling on the edge of uncertainty. The room erupted in laughter, like a cruel tidal wave crashing over his spirit. They pointed, some guffawed, and others rolled their eyes. But he stood firm, determined to let his passion shine through. "Just one song," he pleaded, desperation creeping into his tone, yet it was met with snickers and dismissive glances. But the mockery only ignited a fire within him. As he strummed his guitar, the initial discord melted away. He closed his eyes and poured out his soul, the notes spilling into the air, wrapping around the patrons, teasing at their hearts. Each lyric, steeped in love and loss, resonated with the raw truths of their lives. The laughter faded, replaced by an unexpected hush, and for the first time, the crowd began to listen. Alex felt a tightness in his chest. This was more than just a song, it was a bridge to his wildest dreams. Yet, as the last chords faded, a veteran in the back muttered, "Just a poor kid with a broken home." Those words sliced through him, weighing down his spirit like a stone. He sensed the community's biases coiling around him, ready to define his worth by his circumstances rather than his talent. Disheartened, his heart ached as doubt poured in, threatening to extinguish the flicker of hope he had reignited. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Just when Alex thought he could sink into defeat, something shifted. The veteran from earlier wandered over, his eyes sparkling with understanding. "Kid, you've got something special," he said softly. "And it's time this town hears it, all of it." With a passion fueled by shared dreams, they hatched a plan. A community event, a showcase, more than just a night at the diner. This would be a celebration of every hidden talent waiting to burst free. Now, as the event day approached, Alex stood on the brink of something monumental. Would the town recognize him for who he truly was? Or would the deep-seated prejudices shackle his dreams once more? He felt the weight of the moment settle around him like a shroud. The stage was set, the flickering lights casting shadows of uncertainty. Would they hear him? Would they finally see him, not just a boy with a guitar, but an artist willing to share his heart? Taking a deep breath, he prepared to pour every ounce of his being into the music, ready to show that even the smallest voice can echo loudly across a divided world. The night of the showcase arrived, bathed in a kaleidoscope of colors that transformed the diner into something magical. Strings of lights twinkled above, casting a warm glow over the tables that had been pushed to the corners, making way for an impromptu stage. It was still the familiar diner, but now it felt alive with possibilities. Alex stood behind the curtain, anxiety coursing through him like a flood. This wasn't just about a plate of food anymore. This was about acceptance, recognition, and maybe even love. As the crowd settled in, murmurs of excitement filled the air. The veteran, now acting as MC, encouraged everyone to take a chance on the talent that lay within the community, framing it like a revival of sorts. Alex listened closely, his heart pounding. The anticipation was electric. Would they really come to see him, to hear him? Would they see past the rags of his existence to the dreams that pulsed inside him? Finally, the veteran called his name. "Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm welcome to our next performer, Alex." The room erupted in applause, but a deeper breath shivered in Alex's chest. He stepped onto the stage, the spotlight hitting his face with blinding intensity. Suddenly the laughter from the diner days floated back, echoing in his ears. But he pushed it away and focused on the guitar in his hands, feeling the roughness of the strings. With shaky fingers, he strummed the opening notes his song, his story to as he played. He felt the crowd slowly melt into the music. He poured his heart into every chord, each word dripping with raw emotion. The room began to sway gently, the audience caught in a spell he weaved with melodies of hope and struggle. Faces changed, smiles formed, and eyes sparkled with connection. People began to nod, following the rhythm like a wave in an ocean of sound. He could see the veteran in the front row, nodding approvingly, filling Alex with a sense of camaraderie. This was a moment that transcended the past. The unsaid words hung heavy in the air. Could a boy like him, with a guitar, bring about real change? Just then, he spotted a woman standing at the back, her head bowed in thought. A quick pang of recognition struck him. She was one of those who had laughed when he first asked to play. Determination surged within him, and he poured everything he had into the final verse. The lyrics spoke to resilience, vulnerability, and from that place of hurt, he drew strength. When he finished, the silence that followed felt suspended, charged with unseen energy. Moments stretched into eternity until finally, it broke. Applause erupted, rising to a crescendo. The cheers were like fireworks in his chest. But amidst the excitement, Alex noticed the woman with her hands clasped tightly together, her expression shifting from disbelief to something soft and reflective. For a fleeting moment, their eyes locked, and in that instant, he saw understanding bloom within her. It was as if she realized he was not just a boy from the outskirts, but someone worthy of being heard. As the applause waned, he felt a wave of curiosity rise. What had this performance awakened in her and others? Could he really change how they saw him, not just for tonight, but for tomorrow? The night felt full of promise, yet anxiety nibbled at the edges of joy. What would come next? With his heart still racing, Alex faced the crowd and asked, "What's next for us?" In that moment, he realized his journey was just beginning. Would he be able to hold on to this spark and turn it into a blaze of change? As the applause faded, a new question lingered in the air, one that whispered with hope and uncertainty. Would they be ready to follow him into this unknown journey of discovery? The applause eventually dwindled, replaced by a ripple of conversations buzzing in soft tones around the diner. The warmth that had filled the room slowly began to settle into familiar laughter and clinking dishes. Alex stood at the edge of the stage, still gripping his guitar, heart racing. He took a moment, letting the energy of the crowd wash over him. But a flicker of doubt crept into his mind. What if it had all been a fleeting moment, a wave that wooed until he reached the shore? As he stepped down from the stage, adrenaline pumping through him, kids rushed past, teammates and friends from school mostly. Some high-fived him, while others lingered to chat, their faces beaming with pride. He felt light, almost buoyant, as if he could float away. Then the woman, the one from the back of the room, approached him. She hesitated, glancing down, then back up, her expression a mix of regret and curiosity. "Wow, Alex, that was incredible," she stammered, a timid smile forming. "I never knew you had it in you." He cocked his head, searching her eyes, wondering about the change he saw there. "You heard me. Really heard me." "Yeah, I did," she replied, biting her lip. "I mean, I was wrong." I thought. She paused, collecting her thoughts. "I thought you were just some kid trying to play." "What changed?" he asked, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Alex had faced laughter and judgment before, and seeing that flicker of understanding in her eyes brought a mix of hope and hesitation. "The song," she said softly, her gaze steady. "It was like you were telling our story, a story that we all know too well." Her words hung in the air, and a sense of connection blossomed between them. Perhaps, he thought, that was the first step toward that change he was yearning for. The veterans at the diner weren't just patrons fit for applause. They were part of a community aching to be understood. As the night drifted on, other faces from the crowd approached Alex. They shared their gratitude, their hopes ignited by a spark he had unwittingly lit. They patted him on the back, called him brave, and affirmed his talent. Each interaction built upon the last, layers of warmth stacking against the chill of his past insecurities. Amidst the chatter, he spotted the veteran sitting again at the counter, coffee cup still in hand. The old man looked over at him, and for a moment their eyes locked, sharing an unspoken bond. It felt like he was passing a torch, An acknowledgement that Alex was not just part of the diner's landscape anymore, but a vital thread weaving through its fabric. But as the night wore on, and the crowd thinned, doubt lingered in the corners of his mind. Would this recognition last? What's next for us? He thought again, this time feeling it echo with more weight. He yearned for more than just one night of applause. He wanted the kind of change that didn't depend solely on his voice, but rather created ripples within the community itself. He picked up his guitar one final time. A wave of clarity washed over him. It hit him like a revelation. He could lead this journey, inviting everyone to join him. If last night was just the spark, then he had a universe of music inside to ignite. But would they walk beside him? Would the community step out of the shadows and write their own stories together? In that moment of resolve, he could feel the breath of a new journey waiting just beyond the horizon. He took a deep breath, looked around the diner, and asked himself, are we ready for this? A soft murmur began to rise within him, a question of belonging tinged with hope. The night was far from over, but the next chapter awaited, and it was calling for courage. Lights flickered across the diner, casting a warm glow on the familiar faces now slightly dimmed by the late hour. A saxophonist strummed softly in the corner, the smooth notes mingling with the scent of brewed coffee and the remnants of aged wood. Alex's heart pulsed with an unfamiliar excitement as he placed his guitar back in its case. He felt a swell of ideas brewing like the steam rising from the old coffee machine. As he watched the last group of friends share whispers and laughter, he turned to find the woman from before, her eyes still alight with admiration. Her presence sent a jolt through him, reigniting that spark which felt powerful and new. What if I want to try something more? He wondered, his fingers itching to strum again. What are you thinking? She asked, pulling him from his thoughts. Maybe a new song, something uplifting. He replied, half smiling, half serious. For everyone. Her face lit up. You should. We'd love to hear it. Alex's stomach fluttered. The thought of performing again, this time for the same crowd that had just praised him, felt daunting yet thrilling. But then he recalled the quiet, lonely moments he had spent strumming his guitar to the walls of his room. The safety of those four walls felt like a weight now. Perhaps he could share all those unsaid words with them. But first, he needed their trust, their engagement. He took a tentative step up to the small stage again, noticing how everyone's conversations faded as they turned to him. He could feel their eyes, filled with anticipation, but also a hint of wariness. What if the spotlight turned to shadow again, bringing echoes of laughs instead of applause? Hey, everyone, he called out, gripping his guitar a bit tighter, letting all the love and sweat of his dreams seep into the grip. I want to try something that we can all feel connected to. A little piece about hope. The moment hung in the air. He could see a few heads nod in encouragement, others were curious. He took a deep breath, letting the air fill his lungs with what felt like a collective heartbeat. The chattering din faded as he launched into the strum of a new tune, the melody he had crafted from the stories around the diner. The first notes spun out, soft yet yearning, creating a tapestry of sound that began weaving its way through the room. As his voice broke through, shaky but growing steadier with each line, something magical happened. People leaned closer, their faces shifting from uncertainty to a raw mix of hope and emotion. He sang about finding strength in vulnerability, the strength in community. It was embedded in his lyrics, the essence of their lives, intertwined with pain, laughter, and warmth. It was their story just as much as his own. The old veteran at the counter nodded slowly, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. And the woman, she whispered softly, caught up in the moment, her presence like a gentle wind at his back. With every verse, something broke free. The rhythm stirred memories, laughter erupted, even a few tears glistened in the haze of nostalgia. In those moments, Alex was not just singing. He was binding the community together, creating an anthem that pulsed with life. But just as he felt they were all on the same page, doubt whispered. Would they carry this heat into tomorrow? Could this connection last? Or was it just a fleeting spark? The last note hung in the air, lingering like the warmth of an embrace. As the last echoes faded, silence blanketed the diner for a heartbeat. Then, it was shattered by clapping, a tide of relief and approval washing over him. He searched their faces, looking for the lingering doubt, but it had dissolved. Thank you, he said, breathless. His heart hammered in his chest, hope swelling like a wave. But just as he was about to step down, he caught the eyes of the veteran again. This time, there was something different. It felt bigger, more profound. It was a twist of fate waiting to unfold. "Alex, wait," the man called, standing up, a sense of urgency in his voice. "You might just be the voice we need. Do you have time for another? Because I have a story to tell." His words hung in the air, pulling Alex back, nudging something deep within him. What story? And who was he to carry this torch further? The night was alive, crackling with promise, but would he dare to step into that new role? Alex's heart raced. An entire room full of people had just been moved by his song. Yet here was a man, altered by life's burdens, asking for something more. What did he mean by the voice we need? Alex wondered, eyes darting between the veteran and the expectant crowd. "Tell us, please," Alex found himself saying, the words barely escaping his lips. A wave of anticipation washed over the diner. The veteran shifted on his feet, the weight of years pressing heavily on his shoulders. "I've been around a long time," the man began, his voice rough yet steady. "Saw things that break most people. But music, well, it saved me. It brought me back from places I thought I'd never return." He paused, glancing around the room as if searching for faces that understood loss and redemption. What if I have my own story? What if a simple song could change the lives of others? Alex felt an unexpected spark in his chest, igniting a fervor that coursed through his veins. The thought kindled something deep within him, unraveling fears he thought he had long buried. "Would you share it with us?" A woman from the corner pleaded, her voice laced with empathy. "We're here for you." The veteran nodded slowly, gratitude flickering in his tired eyes. "There was a time when I thought life had no more songs left for me. After losing my family, I wandered aimlessly, forgetting what it was to live. But music found me again, like an old friend." As he spoke, Alex could feel everyone leaning a little closer, their breath rising in unison. The diner felt like a private sanctuary, a sacred ground where wounds could be healed through shared narratives. "In that darkness, I met a boy just like you." He pointed at Alex, a flicker of recognition in his gaze. "He was just trying to strum something out of pain. I offered him a plate of food for some music." Laughter erupted at the bargain, but he played like my heart was the only audience. "That boy isn't here anymore, but his music always is." And when he finished, I realized it was never about the food. It was about the connection. The weight of his words rested heavily in the room, binding hearts in the shared understanding of suffering and resilience. Call it fate or coincidence, but sometimes we need to reach deep inside, grab that spark of inspiration, and let it shine. That's why I'm here tonight. You, with your voice, can be that spark. A hush fell over the crowd for a moment, as if they were collectively holding their breath. Alex felt the weight of those words settle in his chest. Was he ready to transform this moment into something greater? "Let me tell my story, too," Alex said, his voice growing bolder, emboldened by the veteran's vulnerability. A quiet excitement ignited across the diner. I'm not sure how to do it, but maybe he hesitated, searching for the right words. Maybe sharing our journeys will weave us closer together. The crowd stirred with interest, nodding in agreement. They were no longer just listeners. They were participants in a collective experience. "All right, let us create something right here, right now," the veteran said, his eyes brightening. "Why don't you invite some more voices? We can all share a piece of our lives, our truths, through music." With each word, a flood of possibilities danced in Alex's mind. A cathartic release was waiting to happen. "Yes," he breathed, almost to himself. "Let us do that. I can write, but I need you to join me." As the veteran took a seat again, a few other patrons stepped forward, glancing at Alex with eager confidence. With newfound purpose, Alex reached for his guitar, strumming a quick melody, feeling the pulse of stories tingling in the air. One voice after another joined in, each sharing snippets of pain, joy, love, and resentment, transforming the diner into an open sanctuary of emotion. Then suddenly, Alex spotted the woman who inspired him earlier, standing back with tears glistening in her eyes. "What if we record this?" she proposed, her heart displayed openly. "What if we could share our songs with those who need to hear them?" Those words hung in the air, igniting an even bigger vision. With each pulse of music, a community began to evolve, reflecting deeper connections that transcended the simple clatter of plates. But as the last note resonated, Alex felt a tug of something larger brewing in the background. What if their journey was meant for more than just this moment? Where do we go from here? He wondered aloud, eyes scanning the room. What if it's not just about tonight, but about creating a movement? The energy in the room shifted. Faces glimmered with the thrill of the unknown. No one had an answer yet, but the spark of possibility flickered brightly, ready to ignite something extraordinary. And in that charged silence, they all knew this was just the beginning. As the lingering notes faded into a collective sigh, the veteran's gaze darted across the room, catching the light of inspiration in the eyes surrounding him. He leaned forward, a marked intensity in his demeanor. "It's not just music," he said. "It's our souls laid bare. This is a chance to connect, to heal." Alex felt an urge swell inside. He glanced at each person in the diner, looking beyond the surface of their smiles and tears. Each one of them held stories etched on their hearts. "Let us do just that," he announced, his voice filled with resolve. "Let us bring everyone in." A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Patrons who had been strangers just moments before leaned in, as if they could feel the invisible threads of fellowship binding them together. "Anyone can share. Anyone can play," said Alex, a warmth flooding him. The words breathed life into the air. "Just grab an instrument or your voice. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be true." A man in the back raised his hand hesitantly. "I haven't played since my brother passed." His voice trembled, but there was a fire behind his sadness. "Then let today be the day you pick it up again," Alex responded gently. "Let us remember him together. Turn that pain into something that can resonate." The man nodded, eyes shimmering with hope. He grabbed an old guitar from the corner, its once vibrant wood now scuffed and weathered. He strummed a few hesitant chords, the rusty notes floating into the air. Alex's heart quickened. This was becoming more than he ever anticipated: a gathering, a collective release. "That's it. Just let it out," he urged, joining in with his guitar, weaving together melodies that spoke of loss, love, and life. Others followed suit. A woman found her voice in a haunting melody, while a couple of teenagers with bright eyes pulled together a beat on the table, transforming the diner into a makeshift stage. Laughter mingled with tears as stories flowed freely, each contribution a brushstroke on the canvas of their communal heart. As voices rose and ebbed, Alex felt something shift deep within. His doubts, his fears began to dissolve in the warmth of shared experience. The veteran nodded along, a proud smile curving his lips, validating the journey of healing unfolding around them. Just then, the woman who suggested recording stepped forward again, excitement bubbling in her gaze. "Let us not only share this here, let us put it to music. Let us make an album." A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd, like electricity pulsing in the air. Alex's breath caught. Could something so profound really happen? "I love it." Another voice chimed in, enthusiasm igniting amongst them. "We can dedicate it to everyone who has felt lost, and to the people we loved." The idea took root swiftly, growing into a movement that seemed larger than themselves. But as ideas flowed and laughter echoed, a heaviness loomed. Questions of logistics and reality crept into Alex's mind. How would they make this happen? What if we share our stories, and each song can be a chapter? He proposed, heart racing with both excitement and trepidation. "Yes, we can gather more voices." Someone cried, eyes sparkling with possibility. But even as excitement buzzed, a shadow of insecurities whispered in Alex's ear. Who was he to lead this endeavor? What if his own story wasn't worthy enough to be part of such a grand vision? And just as doubt clawed its way to the forefront, the veteran clapped his hands, cutting through the noise. "It starts with you, kid. Your voice brought us together. It's time to lift each other up. Fear is part of the journey. Embrace it. Let it fuel your fire." His words settled deep in Alex's heart. Perhaps this wasn't about perfection, it was about authenticity. With each story introduced, they would craft a melody that resonated with truth. As laughter and music enveloped the diner, Alex felt a spark igniting a different kind of journey, one that wasn't just his, but belonged to everyone. "Okay, then," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "Let us weave our tales into a tapestry of music. Where will this take us?" The room crackled with energy, eager eyes searching for answers. They were standing on the precipice of something incredible, and yet clarity remained shrouded in mystery. What would they uncover together? What stories would emerge? As the night carried on, Alex realized he didn't have all the answers, but he was ready to embrace the unknown. It was going to be a wild ride, but for the first time, fear felt less like a burden and more like an adventure waiting to unfold. With a last glance around at the faces glowing with hope, he asked, "Are you all with me on this?" The chorus of enthusiastic affirmations echoed back, wrapping around him like a warm blanket. And deep inside, Alex knew that this was just the beginning of an unforgettable journey. The energy in the diner was electric, a blend of excitement and a sense of purpose wrapping everyone in a warm embrace. They spun together in this fragile moment, where laughter intermingled with the bittersweet notes of music. Alex felt a rush of adrenaline. They were all poised on the edge of something beautiful. The girl with bright pink hair stepped forward. She had been quietly watching until now, her hands fidgeting with a small ukulele. "I can play," she said shyly, glancing at Alex, her eyes sparkling with both trepidation and determination. "Absolutely, come on up," he encouraged, his heart softening at the sight of her courage. The crowd hushed, eyes trained on her as if she were about to unveil a sacred treasure as she strummed. The music spilled out like sunlight breaking through clouds. Her voice was tentative at first, but grew bolder with each note. Alex couldn't help but smile. Her bravery was infectious. When she finished, the diner erupted in applause. "See," Alex beamed. "Everyone has something to share." The applause seemed to awaken others. A woman with a baby on her hip stood up, her face glowing with excitement. "I haven't sung since college," she declared, her voice a mix of nerves and thrill. "Then let us hear it," Alex replied, feeling the atmosphere thicken with anticipation. The woman cleared her throat and launched into a melody that wrapped around every listener like a comforting blanket. Laughter erupted again when the baby cooed along, adding notes of pure joy to her song. "Who's next?" Alex asked. A teenager named Marcus, who had been tapping his foot to the beat, stepped up with determination etched on his face. "I want to share a rap I wrote." The crowd fell quiet, tension and excitement coiling like a spring. He took a breath and let the words fly, telling a story of struggle, hope, and resilience. His flow was electrifying, and the energy surged again, pulling everyone closer. It was raw and gritty, revealing the depth of his heart, and by the time he finished, the room was pulsing with applause and cheers. They were creating something larger with every shared melody. Each story was a thread in a rich tapestry. Alex felt a swell of pride. Somehow, they were all crafting a symphony of healing. After a while, a shy young man with glasses stepped up, glancing nervously around the diner. Can I?" he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I haven't played in years. Honestly, I just wanted to ask if I could play in exchange for a plate of food." The laughter that followed felt light, innocent, not meant to belittle his request, but tinged with the camaraderie of their shared experience. But Alex saw the spark in the young man's eyes, a hidden talent waiting for its moment to shine. "Why not?" Alex replied, eyes gleaming with encouragement. "Let us share a plate of kindness." Then, as the young man picked up a slightly battered harmonica, the laughter gave way to awe. The first notes were shaky, uncertain, but he found his stride quickly, pouring out not just sound but emotion. Everyone fell silent, entranced. This was a sound of longing, of quiet resilience, a melody that spoke of moments lived in darkness yet ignited with hope. When he finished, the crowd erupted in cheers, the warmth of applause washing over him. No longer just the shy guy asking for food, he had stepped into the spotlight, revealing a talent that felt like it had always been there, just waiting to burst forth. "Look at that," Alex exclaimed, his heart soaring. "Every voice matters. We're not just making an album, we're sharing the music of our lives." The young man blushed, unsure how to react. The veterans in the room nodded appreciatively, and the atmosphere buzzed with potential. "What next?" Someone called from the back, eyes wide with anticipation. Not a collective breath filled the space, dreams flickering like candle flames, each one ushering in a sense of hope, a possibility of transformation. Feeling the weight of their expectant gazes, Alex took a deep breath. How about this? Let us all write our stories and capture this moment. There was an electric thrill at the thought, a rousing challenge to put their lives into songs. But as the energy crackled with creativity, an ominous question loomed: could they really piece together their stories into something cohesive and beautiful? Could the heartache and joy align in harmony? Before he could voice these thoughts to the group, a shadow flickered at the edge of their celebration. One person stood back, lingering and watching, their face unreadable. Who were they? And what might their story add to the ever-growing tapestry they were weaving? The room still buzzed with a charged energy, the collective heartbeats echoing a rhythm of newfound confidence. Alex looked around, soaking in the bright eyes that met his. Then he noticed the shadow lingering at the edge, their mystery observer. Curiosity tugged at him, a thread woven through a tapestry of celebration. "Hey," Alex called out, motioning toward the figure, who flinched slightly. "Come join us. We're sharing our stories." The young woman stepped forward, reluctant and hesitant. She pulled her jacket tightly around her, shielding herself from the warmth radiating from the group. The flickering light caught her hair, revealing streaks of blue that danced in tandem with her nerves. "I don't know if I have a story worth sharing," she stammered, glancing back toward the door as if weighing her options. "Of course you do," someone from the crowd chimed in, breaking the tension. "Everyone has a story. Don't be shy." Encouraged, she took a step closer, still wary. The laughter from the earlier performances felt distant but somehow welcoming. She inhaled, taking in the sweet mix of coffee and warmth that hung around them, mixed with the lingering melodies. "What is your name?" Alex asked gently, his voice coaxing her like sunlight breaking through a cloudy day. "Zara," she whispered, barely above a murmur. "Zara, that is beautiful," he replied, hoping his enthusiasm would erase the shadows that seemed to cling to her. Zara shifted on her feet, looking at the musicians, the parents, the struggling artists who had found their voices tonight. It made her heart race, but fear kept her anchored to the ground. I just write poems," she finally admitted, her eyes dropping to the floor. "Then let us hear one," Alex urged, his smile warm and encouraging. "We'd love to hear it." With a deep breath, she found the courage to speak. "Okay." Her words wavered as she pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. The crowd hushed again, attention riveted on her. "I've always felt invisible," she began, her voice growing steadier. Like a whisper that gets lost in the noise as she recited her lines, the air thickened, charged with emotion that wrapped around the diner. Her words painted images of longing, of struggles and dreams woven together like a patchwork quilt. The vulnerability in her performance struck a chord, reverberating through those listening. Alex could see heads nodding, hearts touched by her honesty. Sometimes the quiet voices carried the loudest truths. When she finished, silence hung in the air for just a heartbeat, then erupted into applause, echoing the appreciation of those who had once felt as lost as Zara. She looked up, shock painted across her face. "You really liked it?" "Absolutely," someone exclaimed. "That was incredible." Zara's eyes sparkled, the weight of her fears lessening, replaced by a flickering flame of hope. For the first time, the creeping doubt in her heart began to wane. As the excitement in the diner grew, Alex noticed the tall figure, still watching from the corner. His heart raced with curiosity. Why were they holding back? "Why don't you come up too?" he called out again. The diner quieted once more, the atmosphere thick with expectation. The room was electrified, waiting for another story. But this time, the figure shook their head, their expression a mix of intrigue and hesitance. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this person held something significant, perhaps a story that could ignite even deeper emotions. "Please don't be shy. We're here to embrace each other's stories," Alex urged. The figure hesitated, then finally stepped forward, slowly emerging from the shadows. Their eyes held a weight that spoke volumes, and as they reached for the mic, an unsettling sense of anticipation washed over the crowd. What secrets would this newcomer unveil? Would it shift the energy of the room once again? As the first words escaped their lips, Alex felt a stirring in his own heart, a whisper of something profound about to unfold. As the figure stepped into the soft glow of the diner's lights, the hum of conversation faded. The crowd held its breath, captivated. The newcomer was tall, their broad shoulders draped in a worn leather jacket, a pair of old jeans accentuating the story etched into every crease of their face. Their hair was unkempt but had a certain charm, streaks of silver catching the light. The mic felt heavy in their hand as they took a deep breath. "Hi," they began, their voice gravelly yet warm. "I'm Jude." Alex felt a pulse of energy in the air. Jude's gaze swept across the room, and though they seemed unsure, there was a flicker of determination in their eyes. "I'm not sure where to start, or even if I should be up here," Jude continued, adjusting the mic nervously. "But I guess I'll just share whatever comes to mind." A chuckle eased the tension, coming from the back of the room. Someone called out, "You got this." Jude's lips curled into a shy smile, and Alex could see the walls they had built slowly beginning to crumble. "Okay, so, once, I was playing guitar in a park. It was just for fun, you know? A few people stopped to listen, but mostly, I was just trying to figure things out for myself. Then, an older man approached me and said, 'Could I get a tune for a plate of food?' And I just laughed." A murmur traveled through the crowd, their interest piqued. Jude continued, "At first, I thought he was joking, but there was something in his eyes. He needed it more than I could imagine. So I played." As Jude described the moment, memories danced across their face. "I started playing this tune, one that felt like home. And when I finished, the man smiled, truly smiled, and told me it was the best thing he had heard that day." Everyone listened intently, the weight of Jude's words reflecting a deeper truth. "It made me think sometimes we overlook what we have to offer, even when it seems small. That little moment playing for someone who needed it helped me realize the power of connection." The room was still, every person wrapped in Jude's story, feeling the warmth of shared humanity. Alex felt a tear slide down his cheek. It was an unexpected encounter with vulnerability. Jude shifted, their confidence growing with every passing second. "And after that, I played whenever I could, wherever I could. For money, sure, but mostly for those moments, those little exchanges that remind us we're all in this together." Someone in the crowd shouted, "Play something for us." Jude hesitated, then nodded. There was a shift in the atmosphere, a growing anticipation like standing on a precipice ready to leap. Setting the mic down, Jude picked up a nearby guitar that had been left resting against a booth. Their fingers danced across the strings, and the room filled with a melodic tune that tugged at the heart. The music poured out, sweet and haunting, telling stories without words. It echoed through the diner, wrapping around each listener, provoking emotions that had long been tucked away. As the last chord faded, the crowd erupted into cheers, applause crashing like waves. Jude stood, breathing heavily, a mix of surprise and joy etched across their face. "Wow," Jude said, visibly moved. "I didn't expect that." Alex felt the warmth in the air, a thread binding them all. But as the clapping subsided, Alex's eyes flickered back to the corner. Zara was watching Jude with a spark of recognition, something unspoken passing between them. "What is it?" Alex wondered aloud, glancing at Zara. But before she could respond, Jude stepped closer to the mic again, their voice cutting through the moment. "Songs have a way of telling stories we forget to share. But sometimes the room held its breath, waiting for more. Sometimes the stories that need telling are the ones we're scared to voice." A hush fell over the room, anticipation thickening the air. What would happen next? What truths were still hidden, waiting to emerge? The silence wrapped around the diner, binding everyone in a shared moment of understanding. Jude's words hung there, a lighthouse guiding them to uncharted shores of expression. The crowd leaned forward, hearts beating in sync, eager for what might unfold. "I once thought my story didn't matter," Jude continued, their voice steady but softening with vulnerability. "I thought it was too messy, too chaotic. But then I realized, we all have those stories. The heartbreak, the joy, the moments that make us who we are. And telling them is what connects us." Alex's heart surged with a newfound clarity. This was the essence of their gathering, a celebration of shared journeys, an embracing of flaws that wove them closer together. Zara stepped forward. "What if we each write a part of our truth?" she proposed, her voice shaking but firm. "And then we sing about it, like in a round, each person adding their verse to a collective story." The diner buzzed with excitement. "Yes," someone blurted, and nods of agreement rippled through the crowd. Alex felt a rush of energy wash over him. This was it. a chance to shape their stories into something beautiful. Let us each write a few lines about our experiences, Alex suggested, his voice rising with passion. We can come together to create a song that truly belongs to all of us. The atmosphere ignited with electricity, a surge of creativity thrumming among them. Everyone grabbed napkins, pens, and anything within reach, fingers flying across the surfaces as they poured their stories onto paper. Laughter mixed with murmurs of hope, anxiety stirred into excitement, their individual musings bridging a gap that once felt insurmountable. The sense of community pulsed in the air like a heartbeat, and for the first time, Alex felt a bond forming, a tapestry woven from each unique thread that they wrote. Jude and Zara rallied small groups to share their verses. One by one, the stories unfurled. A tale of loss, followed by one of triumph, another of love lost and found. Each narrative added another layer, creating a powerful chorus, rising together like an anthem of resilience. Soon, bursts of melodies filled the diner as they rehearsed their song, merging lyrics and harmonies into a dizzying whirl of shared humanity. There were smiles, tears, and moments of breakthrough where every person found a lifetime of stories trapped in their hearts now pouring forth. Hours slipped by unnoticed, the spirit of the diner capturing their collective energy, transforming the once ordinary space into a sanctuary of creativity. It felt less like a performance and more like a mutual catharsis, a celebration of everything they had lived, blending into something infinitely larger than each single voice alone. Finally, the time arrived to unveil their creation. All the nervously twitching hands found calmness, and the crowd settled in, anticipation buzzing like the air before a summer storm. Alex felt the weight of their hope in the air as they sat together, the vast expanse of the diner swelling around them. "We are here, together," he began, addressing both the evening and the lives entwined within it. "This is our story." As they sang their final anthem, a wave of emotion flooded through the room. Every note shimmered with truth, every word wrapped in understanding. The chorus rose into the air, a collective declaration that resonated deep within each individual, echoing the fragile yet unyielding bonds of humanity. When they finished, silence swept over the diner, the gravity of their creation settling in. Then, it erupted, a fiery, thunderous applause ringing through the ages. Tears glistened, laughter mixed with sobs. Words of appreciation flowed like rivers, embracing each performer. Now they stood not just as individuals, but as one, a family intertwined by shared experiences, fears, and dreams. As the night wore on, the stories continued to dance among them, echoing through the diner long after the final notes faded. With every voice lifted, they illuminated the path ahead, forging a community bound by love, resilience, and creativity. This was only the beginning. The symphony of connection they crafted would resonate far beyond that night. "We've got so many stories to tell, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us," Alex said, the roar of the crowd lending wings to his words. As the conversations flowed and hope intertwined with the air, the future expanded. They were ready to embrace it together. Now, dear friends, wherever you are, you need to join our adventure. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await. Leave a like now. It's crucial to feed the algorithm and spread these messages of hope and connection. Comment your reactions and feelings about this journey. Your voices matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how vital your support is to keep this community alive and thriving. Let us spread this movement far and wide.